Hey everyone, and welcome to the Nerd Room, where we talk all things comics and movies. This is episode number 49. We're discussing Easter eggs in comic book movies. I'm your host, Tim.
I'm Troy.
It's been somewhat of a slow week in the comic book / movie world. We don't have any new trailers, but we do have a ton of news to talk about. A lot of little tidbits floating out there from the Star Wars universe, the comic book universe, some big reveals in these number one issues that Marvel's dropping, and also some hints towards what we're going to see in the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, some big stuff going on.
Very exciting stuff going on in the nerd world. And we're going to get into all that before we discuss Easter eggs in comic book movies. This has become something that's somewhat of a staple for comic book movies now. Seeding the future, the tip of the hat, the nod to the audience. We're absolutely loving what they're doing here with all of the movies. It's fantastic to be in the know or feel like you're in the know here.
Yep.
And we're going to go through some of our favorite Easter eggs in the Marvel, DC, even Star Wars movies, and discuss a bit about their importance and how they can lead to slight missteps even, and painting yourself or writing yourself into somewhat of a corner.
Yeah, and we'd love to hear your guys' favorite Easter eggs too, so, hit us up in the chat boards.
Yeah, definitely. Hashtag enter the nerd room, or hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, YouTube comments. We're looking for you guys to participate in this conversation. Let us know, what are your favorite Easter eggs in Marvel, DC, Star Wars, or across all film. Even Pixar's got a lot of Easter eggs
they're
built
great.
in. Yeah,
the Pixar theory.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Love it. But before we get into all that, we're going to discuss some of this news.
Cool.
Justice League, a movie that comes out next year, highly anticipated.
Yes.
Thought to be the film that could save the DC Cinematic Universe, potentially after Wonder Woman.
Yeah, there's a lot writing on this one.
There certainly is, and there's rumors now, and these are rumors that have been propagated through the rumor mill for the last little while, but it's been somewhat kind of hinted at. But there's going to be a Green Lantern showing up in this movie in some capacity. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think it's going to be how I've always theorized, that the Guardians are going to show up in Infinity War and just show up right at the end and be like, Thanos is coming, or someone's coming, or Darkseid's coming? Like, is it going to be a glorified cameo, or do you think they're going to be a pivotal part in this film?
I think it's going to be a pretty cool cameo. And I gotta say, this is the most exciting news I've heard coming out of this movie. I'm not the biggest Green Lantern fan. I don't read his comic books, but I've always liked him in the animated stuff and what I've seen. So them, kind of ensuring us that Green Lantern's going to show up, I'm totally on board with. And I would really like to see a cameo, maybe Green Lantern's taking on Steppenwolf from Beyond Earth, and then he kind of crash lands and this huge battle breaks out, and the Justice League forms and saves the day. But I would really like to see either Hal Jordan or obviously the must-have Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
I think Jon Stewart would be a cool route to go to get away from the Ryan Reynolds one. But it's pretty cool. I guess the biggest question now is, who do they cast to play the Green Lantern? I know Idris Elba has been a front runner for the longest time, but he is pretty locked up with Marvel there, right?
Yeah.
So,
and even the Dark Tower stuff now too.
Yes, that's right.
I think you're right, and they have to go with someone completely different. Almost the direction that I wanted them to go with in Miles Morales is that a completely different character, and do something just very different to distance yourself from that original Green Lantern movie and open your world up to something that could be a huge franchise, right?
Yes.
With Green Lanterns, and that's coming out, I think, in 2020. So it's a long ways away for that film franchise to get more or less rebooted in this current DC cinematic universe. But having them introduced in this, I think, is the right direction. Opening up the universe, you're going to have Darkseid, Steppenwolf, all these elaborate concepts, space, universes, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Why not bring in the Green Lanterns? An appropriate forum to do that, I think.
Yeah, I think that'd just be great. And you don't even have to make him a cast member of the team. You just got to introduce him in this film. Yeah.
And I think going back, and I know I've said this numerous times on various podcasts here, is that AVX, it started with Nova crashing into the ground saying it's coming, referring to the Phoenix Force. Either Marvel or DC has to do something like that, and that's your quick cameo. You get the audience hooked. Who are these guys? I've seen them before, and who's coming? Like that's a huge hook, I think, and it leaves you on the massive cliffhanger while also introducing a new character and a new. I really, really hope that someone does that eventually.
Yeah, I totally want that. Whether it's if they do it with the Green Lantern or if they do it with the Silver Surfer, how cool would that be? So
unbelievable.
Yeah, that'd be a great introduction.
It certainly would. Spider-Man: Homecoming. So this is another movie that's dropping next year, and we're looking at potentially getting a trailer with Rogue One. Yeah. You are a Spider-Man fanboy through and through.
Absolutely.
Let me hear your thoughts on the potential for getting this trailer.
This is going to be awesome. I think it's going to be probably a little bit different, or a lot different than what they got in Comic-Con. Because I guess if you were actually present at Comic-Con, you got to see it in Hall H. I'm pretty sure, obviously, the movie's done. They're done filming. So they got a lot more footage they put together for this trailer. So it's going to be pretty cool, man. You know, seeing that on the big screen, I'm sure we'll obviously get it probably 4 or 5 or maybe even a week before it actually comes out, Rogue One, because, you know, with the internet and YouTube, that's how they do it. But still, there's nothing like seeing a trailer on the big screen or the IMAX. Better yet. So I can't wait, man. I have a lot riding on this movie. I'm a big Spider-Man guy, like you just mentioned. And I'm a big Star Wars guy. So this is best of both worlds right here. Awesome.
What do they need to show you in this trailer to get you hooked? Like, you're hooked no matter what, like the rest of us here. We love these movies. We love Marvel. But what do you need to bring you more into this movie? Because, you know, we've got some hints of it. His Civil War appearance was fantastic. We're into the character. What do you need to be brought more into the world to kind of step away from what they've done with the other cinematic universes of Spider-Man?
Yeah, the humor. You gotta keep up with the humor. I don't need to see any more web swinging. We've seen some really cool web swinging, you know, the Amazing Spider-Man 2 trailer. That was awesome. But I want to see more Peter Parker. I want to see the high school stuff going on. I'm a sucker for Spider-Man with a backpack. You show me that and I'm sold. So, yeah, I can't wait. And I got to see Vulture. I want to see the take on this Vulture, what they're going to do. Because Vulture, classic Vulture, even modern Vulture, he's kind of a goofy-looking character. Yeah. So I'd really like to see how that armor, how that suit's going to look. We've had some concept art, but I'd love to see that in live motion. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. I think showing the villain here, because there's been some uncertainty around their look and how it'll actually fit into the MCU, and I think that'll alleviate some of the concerns with an older Vulture and some of this technology-based Vulture costume that we're seeing. And there's lots of rumors about different villains being in this, or at least seeding some of those guys. Yeah. Yep. And so it'd be interesting just to throw these guys out there and just say, here's a quick glimpse of Vulture. I think they have to go down that path to kind of show what this movie's going to be. And you're right with the humor. It's this movie, the tone has to be set from this first trailer, continuing on from what we saw in Civil War. And I don't know if we're going to get the Tony appearance in this trailer, but maybe some sort of hint towards his capacity or what he's going to be doing in this film as well.
Yeah, completely agree.
Sticking with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we talked last week about the Inhumans and their epic kind of cinematic 2-parter episode that they're going to be showing on IMAX. And they released the dates. We speculated that it was going to be towards the end of the summer, maybe August timeframe. But we're looking at Labor Day. September 4th, this is going to drop for a 2-week period in IMAX format. And it's going to be picked up on ABC. With those 2 episodes, again, they have confirmed they're going to be re-showing them on ABC, but with slightly more scenes built into them. So you do have a reason to go back to the ABC to watch them. But this is looking really, really cool. IMAX apparently is paying for the first 2 episodes. Wow. And so it looks like they're trying to encourage other TV series to be doing something similar and using this IMAX format to present your TV shows for the first time to the wider audience.
That's genius. You know, I'm still trying to wrap my brains around this when the first time you initially dropped this information to me. So I think that's really cool. And, you know, going back again to what Game of Thrones have done with this whole movie going experience. And, you know, there's what better way to put people back in the chairs in theaters, you know? So I think this is great. I'm not the biggest Inhumans person, but I'm definitely going to be out there watching both episodes on the big screen. And we'll see what it does if it gets me into the whole episodes, the whole season.
Yeah. And so if you're worried about this not showing in your country or wherever, so apparently it's going to be showing in 1,000 locations in 74 different countries. So there should be no worry about whether or not you're going to be able to find this or not. It's not going to be a North America or a States only type release. This is going to be a global release of this. So this is almost as wide as you're getting for a big movie, right?
Yeah,
and so it's pretty crazy. And sucking up the Labor Day weekend, the IMAX format there too. So I don't know what movie drops opposite of this, or if there is something. Usually over the Labor Day weekend, end of summer, something fairly substantial drops because you do have the 3-4 day weekend in the States. So you're trying to capture that audience. So this is going to be directly competing with big budget films.
Yeah, I think Dark Tower's even been pushed back to around that time.
Oh, really?
Think.
Okay.
So that'll be interesting. But again, hopefully this opens up the gateway for Netflix. I would love to see The Defenders on the big screen or any Netflix property.
How fantastic would that be? The Defenders' first 2 episodes. On IMAX,
right? Or a step further, Stranger Things. On the, you know, like so it can happen. The doors have been opened.
Yeah, and with IMAX kind of ponying up here and putting money into this, they're investing in these properties now, and so they're investing in putting these type of TV shows onto the big screen. So it's a huge step forward for TV, for IMAX, for this type of experience watching as far as TV goes. And so it's a little different than even the movies, because this is something that's going to be now projected onto the TV screen a little later on.
That's right. And can these things be nominated for Oscars now? Could you imagine?
I don't know what the criteria. I think it must be
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, some length or time.
I don't know though, right? Like theatrical release, that's a check mark right there. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Maybe I have to look into that a little more, because that would be interesting. If you guys got some thoughts on that, if this can now be nominated for an Oscar for some sort of visual or technical awards,
that's true
right?
too.
So we'll see how much money they've actually dumped into this when we see the theatrical version of this. IMAX, it's going to show if you haven't spent the money on it. So there will be hair on this if they haven't dumped, the millions of dollars that you need to produce some sort of content here that's going to look visually stunning on your IMAX format. You don't do IMAX format unless you're doing something big scale.
Exactly, yeah.
So Rogue One's dropping very, very soon.
Oh, man.
This is something that we've been anticipating for better part of 2 years now.
Yeah.
It's been confirmed that as of this recording, so we're recording on Tuesday night, so you'll be hearing this on Thursday, in the UK, Rogue One tickets are going on sale Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. And so it's being speculated that here in North America, tickets are going on sale Thursday or Friday. So be on a lookout. Keep your eyes glued to StarWars.com, Cineplex, and even all the sites that do report tickets, Fandango and all that. Because our tickets are going to be dropping for this very, very soon. And if you want that first showing, that IMAX showing, the 720 or whatever on the Thursday, we're going to need to get in there quick.
That's right, December 15th, I guess, basically then.
Yeah, it'll be December 15th at 720 or whatever the usual showing is. For us here in North America, at least in Calgary here. And I've got my eyes set. I've already got almost 20 people confirmed.
Wow. I'm curious to know, what was it like for Force Awakens last year?
As far as the tickets?
Yeah.
So I can't remember exactly when they put them on sale, but again, I did buy 20.
Wow.
And my wife and I, because you can only buy 10 at a time.
Okay.
So we're on 2 separate laptops.
Wow.
And we got the choose your own seat, so we don't have to do the line thing and all that. We did get 20 seats for all of us when we did go.
Awesome.
And these tickets, it's funny because everyone who's anyone that I know, everyone knows that I'm like we're the Star Wars guys and all that, right? And are you guys going? Get me in. I've already got people giving me money. Yeah, my buddy Brad, shout
out to Brad. Yeah,
he's a listener here, and he was by my house the other day, and he said, "Here's my $20 for the ticket. I'm in."
Gotta love that.
So, and there's early reports here of the opening weekend for Rogue One, and they're talking about $130 to $150 million opening weekend.
Wow,
which is really big considering this is a much smaller film. Maybe not financially, but a much smaller film as far as the story. We're getting away from talking about Skywalkers. We're getting away from talking about the Force and all
Jedis,
that,
right? Yeah.
Well, I guess the Force is going to be built a lot into that. It's more so the Jedis.
Yeah.
And it's a property that people are somewhat unfamiliar with. If Rogue One can take a haul of that size on its opening weekend, it'll be the second largest, just behind The Force Awakens. $100 million less than The Force Awakens, nonetheless. But this isn't the first movie out of the gates in 10 years and all that. So expectations are high for this, and I think this is going to reaffirm the fact that these anthology movies are going to be not only profitable, but probably, I'm hoping, really well received here.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because there's a lot riding on these. Because, like you said, these anthology films, this is the first one coming out of Star Wars. Is this something that they're going to want to continue with? Because they're already locked in now with Han Solo, and potentially maybe a Boba Fett film, we don't really know, or an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. So I think this movie's going to have a lot of replay value, though. Because this leads right into Episode 4. It's going to get a lot of people reading the book of Catalyst, which we're both reading right now. And if you have not picked this book up, guys, this is a must-have. Of any of the other Star Wars books, I say this is a must-have going into Rogue One there. So, a lot riding on this movie.
It's just off that Catalyst book. I just got to say, too, I'm about 12 chapters in.
Yeah.
Krennic, my God, is he a villain?
Yeah, right? The villain of all villains right now. Yeah. This guy is incredible.
He's more Thrawn than Thrawn is on Rebels right now. I know we're going to get developed into Thrawn a bit more, and if you want to hear our thoughts on Star Wars Rebels, go check out our other podcast, Star Wars Rebels Alert, in the same feed you're listening to right now. It drops every Monday. Shameless plug. But check this book out. It's absolutely fantastic. You're seeing a lot of the development of the relationship between Krennic and Galen Erso. So it's a really good book, and I think it's going to be quite valuable, and it's going to really enhance the experience of Rogue One going into this, understanding the dynamic between the two, because I think you're going to get a lot of that in the film itself. Yeah,
great book. Shout out to James Luceno, because, guys, I'm telling you, this book is awesome.
Off the charts good.
Yeah.
You mentioned young Han Solo.
Yes.
We got another casting announcement here. So we already have Aldrich Ehrenreich
Yes, that's good. That's really good. I can't do that.
Playing Han Solo himself, we've got Donald Glover playing Lando Calrissian, and we have the announcement of Emilia Clarke. She has joined in a female lead role to some capacity here.
That's right, the Queen of Dragons.
Yes, and she's a great presence on screen. She does have the acting chops, and she has the physical chops as well. She did Terminator Genesis. Wasn't the best movie in the world.
No, and she actually did another movie. I forgot the guy's name. He's from the Hunger Games. I don't think it was that well received, though. Can't remember, but it's like a love story movie.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see how that all turns out.
Yes, and with the inclusion also and the confirmation that Chewbacca is going to be in this film.
Yes.
This is another one of these anthology films. It's, it's shaping up here.
It is. It's all starting to come together.
Who do you think she could be playing?
Whew, that's a tough one. I don't know. You know what? It's kind of funny because this is going to be the third, maybe even fourth Game of Thrones character that we've had cast in these Star Wars films.
Yeah.
And they've all had very minor roles.
Yeah.
You look at Captain Phasma, and you look at...
Lawrence Santeca.
Yeah, Lawrence Santeca, right? Yeah. They've all had very minor roles in these movies. I wonder how big her role could be as well. I think she's definitely more of a stronger actress on Game of Thrones. That's her thing, as opposed to a movie, let alone leading one.
Yeah.
So I really don't know. I don't know who she could be. I think she's going to be an all original character.
Yeah.
Going into this, yeah.
Some of the ideas I was playing around with,
cool.
Mara Jade. Like, I know she's not redhead. And they've transported Thrawn from a post Return of the Jedi into the pre-OT sort of era here.
Yeah.
Could they be doing something with Mara Jade? Now, she doesn't show up, and she turns out to be, at least in the Legends series, spoilers for the Legends series, she's, the right hand of Palpatine. Yeah. She's, turns out to be a Jedi. Yeah. She marries Luke. They have a child, all this kind of stuff. So I know it's not really in the terms of this is a character that's going to have the same sort of story arc that we do see that Thrawn is almost taking up just pre-original trilogy. But it'd be interesting to see if they at least leverage a bit of these old legacy characters.
Yeah, the elements at least from them. Yeah.
And, what about Sabine?
Oh, see, yeah, I'm really on board with that one. Because I really think Sabine, anyone coming out of Rebels, I would like her to come out, her or Kanan. Those are the two that I really want to come out of those. And
it really depends on the era or the time frame that this is set in, right? Because we still are a bit unclear as to exactly where this is going to sit relative to the TV series, relative to the original trilogy of Rogue One. Our assumption is that he's about 25-ish in A New Hope.
Yes.
And so even if we go 5 years before that, that still puts us in a Rebels time frame. And if we take some elements from the Legends universe where Han Solo did for a period of time attend an Imperial Academy, so did Sabine.
Right.
And I'm not sure how old Sabine's actually supposed to be in Rebels.
Yeah, I think a few years older than Ezra, maybe 2.
So
maybe a year.
The age doesn't really line up there, but hopefully at some point we do see a live action Sabine here. And I think that you're right here is that there's going to be a completely new character. There's going to be someone that's going to be opposite of Han Solo character, someone to put a little bit of backbone into him, because I think him playing opposite Princess Leia, a very strong-willed woman, really benefited the character there, right? It really grounded him a bit, and he did have all that swagger to him, but she did bring him down to a level here where he's a bit more relatable.
Right.
And I think this character that Emilia Clarke is going to play is going to do exactly that. It's going to be maybe a love interest. I don't know how well received a love interest would be. Do we actually need one?
And it was scary going to the book too, the comic books, when they kind of brought in his spoiler, his wife. That kind of scared the audience a little bit there. Yeah. So I thought that she's going to be in this movie too, actually herself. But who knows? She could be out there in this movie. The other thing I was going to mention, though, I guess I was going to say Apollo. Sorry. I guess Lando, though, we do see him in Rebels, and I think Lando's pretty much like the Lando that we know already from Empire. So I don't know how that would all line up, but I'm curious to see if we'll even get a Princess Leia in here, right?
Well, she's going to be pretty young, right? Because we did see her showing up in Rebels. So she's about like 14, 15, right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, because she was born at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
That's right.
And we've got like that 19-year time gap or whatever it is. And Rebels, she's about 14. So again, Emilia Clarke's a bit old to be playing a Leia. Because that was something I thought of too, is are they going to have at least some side tangents where they're explaining a bit more of like what's going on in the Star Wars universe at this point in time with the Senate and the opposition of the rebellion versus the Empire. Because the other interesting aspect about this film and going into the anthology, Rogue One the Empire is still our main antagonist here, right? And we're still with the rebels, so we're in very familiar territory, although we don't have the Jedis present here. This film, I think, is going to be the first Star Wars film that doesn't have the Empire as a main antagonist of the film, right?
Yeah.
So we're stepping away from the Skywalker story and away from a direct Empire story. Of course, we're going to have elements of the Empire there, either chasing Han Solo at some point. But I don't believe, at least from my perspective, that this is going to be a Empire versus Han Solo-centric story. This is going to be maybe Han and Jabba or Han and Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, very personally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If you had read the Lando comic that was done by Charles Soule last year, it was about them stealing a ship.
Nice.
And I think it's going to be about some MacGuffin. They're trying to steal something as pirates, as smugglers, and just going on this kind of crazy, wacky sort of Han Solo, Chewbacca, Lando buddy sort of film here, right? And I don't think there's going to be this overarching element of the Empire being like the main antagonist here. I think it's going to be completely something different. I think it's really going to benefit that movie, but again, it's another step in the anthology direction away from the stories that we're familiar with.
Just set in that universe during that time period of the Emperor. Yeah.
So, yeah, this film drops May 25th, 2018, so we got quite some time before this drops, well over a year and a half. And we're going to be speculating on this right through here, and hopefully someday we're going to get the first set photos of Han and Lando side by side with Chewie there. Just wait for that. That's going to blow the internet.
It's going to blow it right up. How are you doing in the Han Solo comic?
Good.
Well?
Yeah, so that takes place just after A New Hope.
Okay.
And I'm really liking what they're doing there. They've got the voice of Han Solo is really well embedded in the comic book. The writer's doing fantastic work. The art's great. So
it is. I saw that.
It's another nice book to add into the wealth of comic books that we're getting from the Star Wars universe. And it's adding so much to these characters. And I really, really appreciate what they're doing with the Marvel Comics. Han Solo is a great one. Star Wars is another one. Looking out for that Darth Maul coming here in February.
Yeah, that's right. Is it an ongoing for the Han?
The Han is an ongoing.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think, at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think they're ongoings and they end after 13 issues. I don't know. Marvel. I thought Darth Vader would be ongoing forever.
Yeah.
Not so much.
That crushed me. Yeah.
Sticking with comic books here. Did you have a chance to read Thanos #1?
I haven't, but I heard some pretty crazy things going on in this book.
Yes, we're going to say full spoilers for Thanos #1, the new ongoing series that just dropped last week. Beautiful art, I'll have to say, right off the bat here. It is absolutely fantastic. It picks up right where they left off with the Thanos Rising book, and like as far as art direction and all that. Like It's really capturing Thanos in. It's not so much the Jim Starlin, which sometimes is hard to take in, like some of that older like 70s, 80s type Thanos stuff. Because you get into that art, and sometimes they've done a few books, Hulk vs. Thanos, and a few other books where they really tried to project you back into that Jim Starlin era of Thanos. And the art sometimes, it's very much like Infinity Gauntlet and a few of those others, right? You can appreciate for what they did for Thanos, what they did for the universe. But again, the art, present day, is a little harder to get into. But you think back to even Infinity, the 2013 comic book event with Thanos as a centric antagonist.
Yes.
Beautiful art. This
Incredible.
art is right along with that. And it's picking up on some of the characters from that story as well.
Cool.
With Corvus Glade. And this book, spoilers again, great introduction or reintroduction to Thanos here. He's back in a big way. There's references to his involvement in Secret Wars and Civil War. But last page, big reveal, Thanos is dying.
That's huge, man.
Yes, you have this omnipotent god, this, powerful, the Infinity Gauntlet chaser.
The tyrant, right?
Yes, exactly. The man that can't be killed. Is dying from some sort of disease or something. That's what it's alluded to, at least. He takes his helmet off and he's bleeding at his face and that. And one thing that I found interesting about this is what it could do for the MCU, for Infinity War in particular.
Yes.
Because when you think about the MCU, one thing we talked about is Doctor Strange and some of the other villains in that universe is that they're the weaker point of these movies. And because we've been building Thanos since Avengers #1, we've been building this Infinity Gauntlet story since really the inception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Thanos really has to hit. He can't be another one of these weaker villains. It does not have this well-developed backstory. We've spent so much time teasing him. They need to develop this character. And Infinity Gauntlet, which this film is going to be slightly or loosely based upon, I think, it really has Thanos killing half the Marvel Universe and doing all this destruction to impress a woman, more or less, right? To find the favor of Mistress Death. And if that was going to be his pure motivation in Infinity War, I don't know how well received that would be, right? Like, it seems like another one of these, I'm evil for the sake of being evil. I want power to impress a girl, right?
Yes.
And I'm boiling that down to like its essential elements. Like, Infinity Gauntlet's a bit more complex than that, and it's a great book, and read it for sure before going into Infinity War. But I think what this could do, if we do have a Thanos that has another motivation for collecting the Infinity Stones, other than just to get this omnipotent godlike power, right? I think that if he's dying, or if he has some underlying reason, so he's being portrayed as this, he can't die or whatever, and then all of a sudden he's actually dying in the background. This makes his character so complex, and I love what they're doing in the comic book here, and what they could potentially project into the film as well. Do you think that would give a little bit more weight behind the character, or are you happy with a Thanos coming to impress his lady?
No, I definitely like the alternative what they're going here with the Thanos #1. That'd just be great. I mean, Thanos he's such a huge presence in the Marvel Universe with such limited screen time that we've had already through this character. So to see what they're going to do and how they're going to dispose of this character, how will they defeat Thanos, right? Yeah. So if they go this route, that'll be interesting. My number one thing is who do you have replace Thanos with the villains that we have? After his story arc here is done. So basically, this one's an ongoing as well, this Thanos comic?
Yes.
It is an ongoing. Okay, cool.
So it'll be interesting to see how this evolves the character a bit more. And we've had a few Thanos more extended miniseries. I believe there was one, or I know there was one that was 12 issues long. And I don't think there's anything that was much longer than that really kind of dived into Thanos' story. So
yeah.
It's weird because it's positioning Thanos as being the character you're following, and you have this tendency to see him as more of the protagonist. And there's another element in this story, which is Thane, his son, who's an Inhuman.
One of his many kids.
Yeah, one of his many offsprings that he hasn't actually gone and killed.
Yeah.
But Thane is in this as well, and there's a book called The God Up There Listening, which focuses around Thane. And if you go back to Infinity and these storylines where you have the Trigon bomb going off, and explains a lot more where Thane came from. And so go back and check those books out before getting into this ongoing. So these issues look like they're dropping about once a month. The next one's coming in December, so you do have a bit of time to go back and revisit. I would say Infinity for sure.
Yeah.
And then some of the Secret War stuff is pretty good. Got Up There Listening.
And definitely, what's the one he had with the origin story?
Thanos Rising.
Thanos Rising. I love that one. I think it's a 4 or 5 part miniseries. Yeah. Fantastic. I really hope they pull some elements from that in his origin story in the MCU. Yeah. Because it's a really cool origin story for that character.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil anything yet, but you get strung through there the essence of Thanos. Yeah. And it's really cool. Like, I'm a big Thanos guy, and I was reading it maybe with an open mind, and I really didn't see what was coming at the end. It was kind of telegraphed when you think back at it, but when you get to the end, you're just like, whoa, okay, that just happened. It's pretty crazy, and it shows why he becomes who he is, right? And yeah, it's a fantastic kind of revisiting of his origins.
Love it. The art for that, is it the same artist that did Infinity, or is it a completely different artist? I can't remember.
I don't know. They're capturing very similar elements.
Though, right?
Yeah. So it's good. The art is, like I said, it's really good in this, and it really captures me. Kind of projects you into that kind of grimy, somewhere between a Star Wars and Guardians kind of galactic universe. Yeah. And I love that aspect of the Marvel Cinematic, the whole cosmic end of it.
For sure. And they still keep it so colorful, Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Last bit of news here before we get into some wider discussion about Easter eggs is there is a new director for Deadpool 2 officially confirmed, and it's the John Wick co-director David Leitch.
Yeah, Leitch.
Yeah. This is the man who's going to be helming Deadpool 2. They're already out searching for a different director for Deadpool 3. So these guys are all over the place. I like the idea, like we've said before, bring a bit of different flavor to this. There's been discussions. I think Ryan Reynolds had a big hand into picking this director, so I'm a bit more confident in that, because there's a few other directors, including Drew Goddard, which I think he was a showrunner for Daredevil, and he was in the running, I think, at least for some of the Spider-Man stuff as well.
That sounds
early
right.
days.
Yeah.
So interesting they've chosen this guy. I'm excited to see the different elements that he does bring to the Deadpool universe, and hopefully we get something that has evolved a bit from what we saw on screen the first time, but still giving us that same sort of Deadpool.
That's right. Going back to a couple episodes back, my number one director was Matthew Vaughn, so you can now throw that out the window. But you know what? I gotta tell you, I love this news. I actually like this more than Tim Miller.
Yeah.
I'm only familiar with John Wick, but John Wick, what they did in that movie is awesome. It's so cool. Now, if they can keep that same kind of tone going on throughout the film, but also obviously incorporate humor, because humor is the biggest selling point for Deadpool, we're gonna have one hell of a movie. Yeah, I can't wait for this movie now because I'm telling you, John Wick is so... If you have not seen John Wick yet, check that movie out.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So,
yeah.
Something to really look forward to here. This drops... I don't think they've given an exact date at which it's dropping, but probably 2018, 2019 timeframe somewhat.
Yeah, because they're all over the place with that universe too, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you're working on the timeline, so you got your hands tied.
I'm working on it for months, so I think I've got it kind of sorted out here.
Nice.
Maybe someday I'll reveal a little bit of my thoughts. I think it can work.
Awesome.
Maybe. Don't know. So we're here to talk a little bit about Easter eggs in comic book movies, in film in general here. And what kind of really set us off with this is that Supergirl. I'm not a watcher of Supergirl on the CW, and I'm not too familiar with what's going on, but I did see a report that there was a massive Batman Easter egg dropped in this series. And that kind of got me thinking about some of the favorite Easter eggs that we've seen more prominently in movies today than we have in the past. Some of these winks, nods, inside jokes. And it was this Supergirl. Reading this got me really excited about further potential Easter eggs in the TV series and Inhumans and Agents of the Shield, Star Wars universe, all this. So I guess in this episode, Kara makes reference to a certain vigilante here by saying, my cousin, who's Superman, she worked with in this series already. My cousin worked with a vigilante once. Tons of gadgets, lots of demons.
Oh my god. My mind is blown. See, I haven't quite seen this episode yet, so I'm going to check this out for sure. But this is huge, guys, because if you go back to Flash Season 2, we got, not the Flashpoint universe, but we did get a different time frame. I think it's Earth 2, where Barry went back to his timeline, or a different timeline, and he saw, on the phone dial, he saw there was a Wonder Woman reference for the phone number, and there was a Bruce Wayne, and there was, I think there was a Clark Kent. So now we're getting another reference to the man himself, Batman, the Dark Knight. Yeah. That's huge.
Yeah, it's a pretty apt description of Batman.
Oh, for sure. Who else could it be? Yeah.
And they're doing this massive 4-episode crossover event in the next few days.
That's
right. Next couple of coming weeks.
Yeah, with the Arrow, Flash, I think Legends of Tomorrow, and
they're all in it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, awesome. I saw some set images there, which looks pretty cool what they're doing. I think this might be the opportunity they take to pull Supergirl into the Arrow Flash universe proper.
For sure.
And so what does that mean for a potential Batman in these universe? Like, these are the type of Easter eggs that get us fans, get everyone jacked up, right?
Yeah.
And it's these type of Easter eggs, for me personally, that it allows you to feel a bit more for what's going on in the universe, right? You feel like the writers, the producers, even the actors are all in the know here, and they, respect the source material. And they're doing a lot of this for fan service and teasing these type of things. It's just like, it gets you amped up for these TV shows. When you, even just small drop lines. You see this in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. too, right?
Yep.
Small drop lines, referencing something larger, referencing something, seeding something in the future. And that just kind of gets you that much more excited for what's happening in this universe, right? This cohesiveness of this universe.
Yeah, especially when it's Batman. This is huge. We've been wanting a Batman live action TV series for quite some time now, probably since Smallville.
Oh man, that would get me into the CW.
Oh
show.
yeah, right.
This would be my avenue, and I think is if they spun out some sort of Batman TV series. Apparently, CW does have another superhero show in the works. I don't think it's a Batman show, but what if it was?
I know, and that'd be interesting because obviously Fox still has Gotham, so I wonder how that all works. I mean, obviously CW home to WB, so they would probably have the primary rights to the characters. So that's awesome news.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So that got me kind of jacked up about talking about some Easter eggs here. James Gunn has also been really present on social media lately, and there's been this constant background discussion with him about an unfound Easter egg in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And he's even put his money where his mouth is and says, because people are questioning the legitimacy of it, and he's just doing this, he's just trolling people.
Yeah.
And he says, I bet $100,000 that there is an unfound Easter egg in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1.
That's crazy. So, I wonder if it's actually literally just an Easter egg in the collector's
That would be pretty funny. So, we're going to talk about some of our favorite Easter eggs, some of the ones we thought were pretty impactful and seeded, some big things for the future. But I really see there as being, 2 or 3 different types of Easter eggs. And when you talk about Easter eggs, it's less about the kind of obvious story-driven sort of part of the larger arc of a story, and more of these kind of hidden references, these nods, these winks, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really these nods to the audience, and Pixar does this really well, right?
Yes.
It's about, there's the pizza truck that shows up in every single Pixar movie, right?
That's right. Or the corporation Big and Large.
Yeah.
All over that universe, right?
Yeah, and they have no real impact on the story itself, but again, it's just saying, and maybe it does because it's a Pixar theory,
and
right?
it's a great theory if you guys haven't checked that one out. Yeah.
That everything's connected, and it's these winks and nods that kind of gives you the understanding that this could be one large universe.
Right, yeah.
And then there's also, fan service references, right? So when that comes mostly in the form of comic book movies where we're referencing just numbers, 616, and different types of comic books, and, small pieces of comic book lore that no one else is going to get, but it's kind of a tip of the hat to the reader, to the comic book gurus of the world, right? The guys that are in there at the comic book shop every single Wednesday, and we get these references, and we love that they put them in. Again, coming back to this idea, they respect the source material, right? We have a massive amount of history and rich source material to pull from, and the fact that they're utilizing these comics and not just kind of going off on their own tangents. Yeah. We as fans really appreciate that sort of thing.
Certainly do, especially, reading these Star Wars books too. We're getting littered with them.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yeah.
And the last type that I do see is seeds for the future, and this is something that Marvel and DC have really taken advantage of, is slipping in names, slipping in elements, but it really has impact for the story going forward, because it somewhat pigeonholes you with particular characters, and it sets you into time frames here, right? When characters are present, and certain aspects of a character developing down the road in the future. So what we're going to do here is just literally buzz through some of our favorite ones, and we'd love to hear, like we said at the top of the show, what are your guys' favorite Easter eggs in comic book movies, in film in general? We're not really going to go through all the different Easter eggs because there's hundreds of them.
Yeah.
We're going to go skip through some of these, and just some of the ones I think personally for me, the ones that I found kind of enlightening and kind of made me smile when I saw them, and some of the other ones that really made me think, really made me go straight to the internet and be like, what does this mean? Who is this character? And I find myself, particularly with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because they don't have the ability to pull from kind of the A-list, the B-list of Marvel's catalog, and they're going to the depths of the C, D, E-list type characters, is they put in characters and references, and I would even consider them slight Easter eggs when they're kind of one-offs in an episode, of characters that have made single-issue appearances, but they've taken the time to do the research to find these guys, and not just use random names, because sometimes it really doesn't matter, right? But the fact that the producers, the writers, and that have gone to these lengths to insert small Easter eggs for comic book readers, and some of them are really hard to get because you have to have the wealth of knowledge that not many people really have. But I still appreciate what they're doing there. One of the things I wanted to clarify here was Easter eggs is kind of a loose term, and I'm going to be really loose with my definition of it here. It's more of these winks, nods, hidden references, that type of thing. But one thing I wanted to clarify, and maybe this getting your perspective here, Troy, is do you think post-credit sequences are Easter eggs?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They
so,
definitely serve that. Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, we're going with this loose term. Some of you guys may not agree with it, but we're going to talk about more of the references that aren't directly influencing that particular movie, and kind of the nods to the wider cinematic universe almost within the continuity, right?
Yep.
Kicking off here, one of my favorite Easter eggs in film is Wolverine's appearance in X-Men First Class.
Yes. Oh, in the bar.
Yeah, in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
He does the fuck off or whatever, and I absolutely love that. Confused the hell out of me because I thought this was a reboot, and this is somewhat what sent Fox down the path of this kind of jumbled universe, right? And it was set off to be a brand new universe, a rebooted universe, and then now we have Hugh Jackman reprising his role as Wolverine.
That's right. And you know what makes that Easter egg so cool and so powerful is the fact that they kept Hugh Jackman under lock. You had no idea he's going to be in that movie,
That's what made it impactful for me, is that I had no idea what was happening. I was just kind of like, I remember sitting up and being like, whoa, Wolverine, what? What's going on? And that was kind of at the early stages of the cinematic universes as well, right? And having Hugh Jackman part of this universe, it kind of really got the wheels spinning, right?
Yeah.
What is going on here? So I thoroughly enjoyed that Easter egg. It's one of my favorites, even contained within the whole Marvel cinematic universe. I absolutely love that one.
It is awesome. It's powerful. It's a great scene. One of mine, man. I loved Iron Man 2. Captain America's shield.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. When that thing popped up, I was like, wow, this is real. We're getting Captain America. You know, I lost my mind. That shield was so cool. And then, get the backstory later on with First Avenger when you get to see the shield created, even though the shield looks completely different.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's that weird prototype thing, because that does actually show up in Iron Man 1 as well.
Oh, it does show up in Iron Man 1?
Yeah, okay, so it's kind of in the background. It's a really weird scene. It's, you know, when he's kind of in the gantry and he's getting
the suit on?
Yeah, it's when he's getting it taken off and Pepper Potts kind of walks in on him. It's under his arm in the background now, the exact same shield.
Right. Oh, man. And you know, it's cool, too, because when you see that shield, it really sets the tone already how Tony feels about Steve Rogers, which has been played out throughout the whole franchise.
Yeah, it's that animosity that he has for Steve Rogers because his dad never stopped talking about him, right?
Exactly.
It's this relationship that Howard had with Steve, kind of from the first Avenger, and you see that develop later on, too.
Oh, yeah, right? So it's huge. It's just a little 2-second scene, but so much impact behind it.
Yeah, and that was when they first started constructing this universe. And Marvel has really taken advantage of the Easter eggs in their films, right? It's become a staple of their films, seeding for the future. One of my favorite ones from Iron Man 2 as well was Thor's hammer.
Oh, of course, right? When the Agent Coulson, I don't think, well, obviously he doesn't pick it up, but he spots it, right?
Yeah. And it's I just love that. That's when I think I've said this before on the podcast too. That's one of my favorite post-credit sequence, because that made me really realize that this is a larger cohesive universe.
Yeah.
Because before that, we got S.H.I.E.L.D. and all these references to Captain America and Hulk and all that built within that. And you get the Avengers Initiative kind of finally mentioned in there, and that's a big Easter egg kind of going back to the comic books and the 50-state Avengers Initiative that we did have post-Civil War.
Yeah.
And so it's huge nods to that. But the fact that we had Thor's hammer sitting there, that just blew my mind. That was like one of my favorite Easter eggs of all time. It really kind of amped up this idea that they're actually doing this. They're going forward with the cinematic universe. They have controlled these characters. They're producing these movies now. Yeah. And because Coulson even makes reference to the Southwest region, or I think it was Nick Fury in that movie as well. So again, they're really building and seeding these ideas for Thor as well.
The big three right there in that movie, right? Oh, so cool.
So good. And one of the other prominent Marvel, and this is across all Marvel properties, Easter eggs here, is the cameos of Stan Lee.
Yes.
What is some of your favorite Stan Lee cameos?
Oh, Amazing Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
When Spider-Man's fighting the Lizard in his high school, there's like a violin scene going on. Stan Lee I think he's a janitor, and he has his headphones on. Spider-Man and Lizard are just going at it, and I think Spider-Man even saves the table before it strikes Stan Lee. It's so well done, and it's like a classic Spider-Man feel going on there, so I love that one. How about yours?
Fantastic Four, believe it or not.
Fantastic
1
Four.
and 2. So the first one, he plays Willie Lumpkin, which is the mailman from the Fantastic Four comic book, which looks a lot like old man Stan Lee. Absolutely love that one. That was a huge nod for me. I used to read some of the older Fantastic Four books, and I really like that. As well as in Fantastic Four 2, when they deny Stan Lee's entrance into the wedding.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because in the original comic book, when Sue Storm and Reed Richards got married, Stan Lee showed up to the wedding in the comic book.
Oh, awesome.
And I freaking love that. Like, I just thought it was just fantastic.
It's so good.
It was such a like on the nose nod to the comic book universe, but I just love that they went that deep with it and they said, you know what, we're going to put him here. And it was just a really great, and they kind of saying, no, you're not on the list, and I should be on the list. And I just absolutely love that.
He's great. I even liked him in Avengers 2, Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
You know, he gets wasted at the end of that list.
Oh, yeah.
and he drops his catchphrase, his slogan, pretty much. It's great. That's probably my favorite scene in that movie, actually, was that whole party scene.
Yeah, that was good. And, you know, while we're talking about Stan Lee here, there's been an ongoing fan theory that Stan Lee is the Watcher.
Right.
Do you think he's the Watcher?
I don't think so. I think it's just a fun fan theory. Yeah. I don't. I mean, if it could work, I guess, but I don't think they're doing that. No, it's just fun.
I think with some of these Easter eggs that they do throw in here, this allows us to speculate as fans, as podcast hosts, whatever. Yes. It allows us to speculate on the universe here and what they're doing, what they're thinking. And I absolutely love this Watcher theory. Yeah. The fact that Stan Lee is present in every single Marvel movie,
right, outside the Marvel Studios,
yes,
right?
In everything from day one, right? I like the idea that he seems to be present at big events or something's going on, and this is really what the Watcher's about. Like, if you read any comic books with the Watchers, he shows up when a major event's going to happen or right before a major event's about to happen, and that's what goes on in all of these films.
That is true, yeah.
And I just think it's a really cool theory. I know it hasn't been constructed that way, but the fact that you can back yourself in through Easter eggs into this massive, almost universe-spanning or multiverse-spanning theory, I think it's really cool.
It is.
Let's jump over to Star Wars before we get back into some of the bigger ones in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Cool. The Force Awakens. So the prequels and The Force Awakens were the first Star Wars movies that allow us to have references to a wider universe and winks and nods. And as we're seeing now, even with the books, we're getting a lot of that. And there's so many and too many to go through, right? Even in Catalyst right now, they're referencing battles in Clone Wars that have taken place, I presume, in the Clone Wars TV series, right? And one of my favorites from Force Awakens was the hollow chessboard.
Oh, of course. That's classic.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And it was just great seeing, when Finn is repairing or patching up Chewbacca there and they bump into it. And the chess game continues right off from where it left in Episode 4.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know it continued right off that. That's really cool.
So there's the revenge of the character that kind of gets squashed
in
Episode 4 there. And I just love that they throw those little subtleties into the Star Wars universe again here. It's very self-referential, but at the same time, it just makes you think like, yes, it takes you back. I think that's a big thing with Easter eggs. It not only brings you into the know, but it also helps remind you of what's going on, both in past movies and what's going to happen in future movies. And
that's right.
I just, man, I know I've said I love it 100 times, but it was great. And Episode 1, did you ever catch, and I remember rewinding this on a VHS tape.
I think I know where you're going. Yeah.
E.T. in the Senate.
So funny after Padme's speech. Yeah. That's hilarious. There's like 6 of them.
Yeah.
Right? And E.T. even actually looks right at the camera.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a nice nod from George Lucas to Spielberg, one of his buddies, and we get how cool is that, right?
It's really funny.
It has no impact, but again, it's a lot like we're seeing with some of these Easter eggs, particularly in the Marvel universe when we get to Odin's Vault and the Collector's Museum, is that it's just nods. It's just like, hey, guess what? We're having some fun here. We put E.T. in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. Going back to even the prequels, Episode 2, not the biggest Easter egg, but for some reason I just really appreciate the line that Obi-Wan delivered, Ewan McGregor, when after they walk into the bar, even though Anakin goes deliberately against Obi-Wan's orders, as he always does, and he just kind of gets up and he says, "Anakin, I feel like you're going to be the death of me." And I know it's very small, but it's very on the nose. Yeah. But just the way Ewan McGregor delivers it, I just love that scene. So that's a little Easter egg there that I like, because I am a prequelist, so I appreciate those things.
Nice foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. You got any more Star Wars?
No, actually, no. This is the Star Wars and Indiana Jones one.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. I can't remember which movie it is, but when he's about to do something in the temple, if you look, there's on the walls there, you can see C3 and R2.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool little cameo by those 2 droids that we all love.
Yes, because it's a galaxy long time ago.
Right, exactly.
Far away, right?
Yeah, so it works.
Jumping back into the MCU here. A couple of these movies have had some massive rooms full of items. Yeah. One being Odin's vaults. And we've spoken a bit about this in the past. A couple of the big things that you find, big Easter eggs in Odin's vault here is, one is the Infinity Gauntlet.
Yes.
It is present in Odin's vault. And it is the right-handed Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh,
which is interesting. Because the one that Thanos picks up at the end of Age of Ultron is the left hand.
Yeah.
So we have 2 Infinity Gauntlets in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is interesting.
So how does that work with the gems then, or the stones?
I don't know. This almost comes back to a little bit of... I can't remember if the stones are actually present in... Probably not, but in the Odin's Vault Infinity Gauntlet. But it kind of goes back to this idea about writing yourself into a bit of a corner, right?
Yes.
They probably didn't really know they're going down this path towards an Infinity Stone, or... Because I really don't think they kind of really grasped this until Thor: The Dark World, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because that's the first kind of outright reference to an Infinity Gem, right? And what they did here was, it might have been a bit of like, we don't really want to explain why Thanos went into Odin's vaults, and we don't need to show that, so we're just going to have him have another gauntlet.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. There may be some way to explain around it. I don't know, but I'm sure there's still just going to be, the gems themselves, and the one gauntlet's going to be the one that's actually important here.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and also you do see in Odin's Vault, in the original Thor here, you see the Eternal Flame, which I think is a bit important because it's kind of like this mystical flame that can't be extinguished, and it was stolen from Surtur by Odin, and that's really to prevent him from lighting up his sword and all that and bringing about Ragnarok. And so this could be an important Easter egg that was seeded in Thor 1 for Thor Ragnarok as well.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if there's any sort of development on that. I don't know if there's going to be, but again, it's really cool that you've included some of these things. There's a few other relics in that room as well. The Tesseract's in there now. And so it's cool. And then also the Collector's Museum. This was packed full of little Easter eggs, right? We've got the Chitauri and the Dark Elves were in there.
Right, yeah.
Adam Warlock's cocoon.
Yes, that's a big one, right?
Yeah, that shows up at the end of Thor: The Dark World in the post-credit sequence, kind of in the background. Does show up in the Collector's Museum in Guardians of the Galaxy as well.
Of course, yeah.
So it's a really cool nod to potentially Adam Warlock. It'd be awesome if we saw him in Infinity War.
I'm hoping we get that character.
He's a big part of Infinity Gauntlet.
Right.
So, and he's the one, the controller of the Soul Stone, at least.
On his forehead there, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be Ego. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
That's my guess, but we'll see how that develops.
I still wish they made Adam Warlock the dad.
Yeah,
I think that would have been really cool.
That would have made a lot more sense.
yeah, I really think so. Yeah.
So, also then you had the slugs from James Gunn's Slither.
Yeah, cool.
There.
Yeah.
Howard the Duck.
Of course.
Cosmos.
Right, and he is the first one to have a movie by Marvel, really, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, late 80s there. Early 80s.
Yeah.
And there's also this yellow alien with a red cape.
Yes! Betty Ray Bill, right?
Potentially sitting backwards. Has never been fully acknowledged by James Gunn or Marvel
It's
whether
very
or not
hard to see.
You can't see his head is the problem, right? He doesn't do the turn, you don't see the extra hammer. But Beta Ray Bill does show up in the new Thor comics, so pretty cool. Nice little reference there that Beta Ray is tied to Thor so heavily, and Earth's Mightiest Heroes really emphasize that as well. There's some really great Beta Ray Bill stuff in there, and he's a fantastic character. It'd be really cool if he showed up. And again, it's very subtle. He's yellow and he's got a cape.
Yeah. And he kind of has like a horse beak there, right?
Yeah. So,
going back again, I believe Iron Man 2, we see Human Torch, right? We get to see his actual robotic Human Torch body in that museum or the Stark showing.
First Avenger.
First Avenger?
Yeah.
I always get those parts mixed up.
Yeah.
So it is First Avenger when we see that robot, the original Human Torch.
Yeah.
So this is different than the Fantastic Four Human Torch. This is the original.
John Hammond.
Yeah, John Hammond? Yeah.
Maybe. That might be the guy from Jurassic Park as well.
But he's basically a robot, so he wasn't on no space trip with his family there. This is a robot, an android that lights on fire, the original first Human Torch, alongside with the Submariner and Captain America and Bucky.
Yeah, and what's interesting about the original Human Torch, elements and parts of him as an android were used to construct the original Vision.
That's
in the comic
right.
books
And
well,
Wonder Man, Simon, which is a weird origin story for
very
Vision.
strange,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one. That whole element that they use, and I don't know if you consider an Easter egg or some offhanded reference to Disney, is that Iron Man 2, as well as the first Avenger, those World's Fairs are very reminiscent of Disney kind of things. And then that speech that Howard Stark, when it's John Slattery in Iron Man 2, that speech he gives about the World's Fair and starting and all that, that's very much Walt Disney.
That's right. Saving Mr. Banks. That's like right after that movie.
Yes, it's that portrayal, and they're really leaning heavily on that source material. Not so much source material, but they're really leaning heavily on the fact that Howard Stark is kind of like
Walt Disney.
Yeah, even with the booze and all that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I really love that aspect of it, and that really gives me kind of it's almost like an Epcot vibe, the World's Fair type thing, right? And I really like that they're kind of really leaning heavily on that reference.
Yeah, that's really cool. Ant-Man. Yes. Ant-Man's reference to Spider-Man.
I was waiting for that.
Oh man, I love that one. Like I kind of lost my mind when I heard that reference. I was like, wait, are they talking about who? Like, is this Daredevil? No, it can't be Daredevil. They're actually talking about Spider-Man, so that's a pretty cool reference there.
Yeah, and that was just after they had signed up Spider-Man to be in the MCU.
Yeah,
this is
they
the
just
first
dropped
reference. Like, I feel like they must have recorded two different versions
definitely.
of that.
Yeah, definitely did.
Like, here's the one with the web crawler like, when he's in here, and here's the one that's referring to something else, right?
Love that scene, so that was great.
And, one Easter egg that we're really missing in the films right now is a reference to the Netflix series, to Daredevil, right?
Yeah,
to Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. There's none of this
true.
kind of reciprocating, right? So we do see the TV Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of references from Inhumans to the wider Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we don't get the opposite way.
Also, does Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reference the Netflix universe at all?
I don't know, actually. That's a good point. I don't think so. Oh, there is one.
Absorbing Man?
So they're not really Absorbing Man. No. I believe that there is a reference in this current season, if I'm not mistaken. There is a small Easter egg where it does mention that there's gang activity in Hell's Kitchen.
Cool.
It's kind of scrolled across the ticker tape at the bottom of an interview of one of the antagonists. These I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, so they're guys that are chasing the Inhumans.
Okay.
And it's a small reference to Hell's Kitchen. So that would probably be the first time that the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has referenced the Netflix series.
Okay.
But the Netflix series do reference the larger events, particularly more or less just the Avengers events, the Battle of New York, right?
Yeah, the big green guy.
Yeah. And they reference, and there's some newspaper articles in the background there kind of referencing what's happened as far as the Battle of New York. There's references in Jessica Jones to Captain America. and then we have Nuke and all that. There's a lot of really cool stuff in those Netflix series as well,
Yep.
nodding to the wider cinematic universe, these small Easter eggs that kind of get you amped up, that do demonstrate, if nothing else, the continuity and the cohesiveness of the MCU, even if it's not reciprocated in the films.
That's right.
So there's so much cool stuff. The references to Wakanda in Iron Man 2, and we get it in Age of Ultron as well, with Ulysses Claw and Vibranium, and we do see all these elements tying this together. And the Easter eggs really do play a big part in tying this universe together, right? It's these, I keep saying Easter eggs, it's these little references that tie the wider cinematic universe together when we can't exactly show it.
That's right. A great example of that, actually, was a play on words, is the great scene in Civil War when Peter Parker's first introduced. Robert Downey Jr. kind of mentions, hey, we've been waiting for you for a long time, which is like how the audience has been feeling about accepting Spider-Man in that universe. He says, did you not get the emails, which was a huge thing with the email hacking going on. So I really like that scene. It's full of Easter eggs if you go back and watch that scene. Yeah.
Fantastic stuff. And we can't forget about DC here.
Of course not. No.
There's a few in Man of Steel, and this was, again, one of the foundational movies of the DC Cinematic Universe. So there's references to LexCorp. There's a tower here in the background. Yes. There's the Wayne Enterprises satellites that they kind of crash into here. And then even stepping into Batman vs. Superman, this is when they really started seeding and utilizing Easter eggs format here and seeding things for the future. So we had the big Omega symbol in the nightmare scene.
Yes.
We had what are those flying things called?
Oh, the Parademons.
Parademons. Yes. So again, it's part of the story itself, but I think it's a nod to something bigger in the comic books, right? Darkseid coming. That's the Omega symbol. That's
right. Even Batman's nightmare sequence, that suit is very reminiscent of the Batman steampunk or gaslight, I think it is, something like that. So that's kind of reminiscent. The scene where Lex Luthor has that speech in front of everybody and he's talking about I think Zeus, and the camera goes right on Wonder Woman. So that's a real play on the New 52 origin of Wonder Woman. They haven't confirmed if she is the daughter of Zeus yet. I'm hoping they go that route. So that's a kind of cool scene there. I like that.
And even the reference to the death of Robin.
Yes. Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. So that's kind of stuck in there. It is focused in on a bit, and it seems to be some of the driving motivation behind Batman coming out of retirement and why he is the way he is. So it does have some implications for the wider arc of Batman. But at the same time, it's a nice little nod to what's at least happened in the past here with Joker.
That's right.
So, that kind of wraps it up here. Yeah. This turned into a little bit of we kind of divulged a bit into some of our favorite scenes in comic book movies and Star Wars and all that, but I think it's fun to discuss some of the elements that make comic book movies what they are.
Yes.
And it's something that we've come to expect, and if these weren't in there, I don't think the movies would be the same. If we're not getting offhanded references to the future, to Doctor Strange and Winter Soldier, which, again, was a little bit of an issue. If you go back to our discussion of Doctor Strange a few episodes back, we talk about how that Easter egg itself, it had more of a negative impact, I would say, almost on the character, because we're always trying to place Doctor Strange into the cinematic universe and understand that. And it came down to an offhanded comment from Kevin Feige that kind of put that to bed. But it was a lot of speculation built around that little Easter egg, and
that's right.
You kind of rating yourself into a corner again there.
Yeah, now you bring that up too. Sorry, I know we're finishing up here, but that reminds me of Iron Man 1, I believe. They've been sprinkling the Mandarins, was it 10 rings?
Yeah.
And they've just gone nowhere with it.
Yeah.
So they kind of tied themselves in a corner once again.
Yeah, they kind of ended that with the Trevor Slattery and the Mandarin. They had all those one-shots that kind of tried to wrap some of that up.
Yeah, just didn't quite work out.
No, so there are pitfalls to throwing too much into a movie, too many Easter eggs, too many references to future events when you haven't exactly ironed out some of the wrinkles in the storytelling. Unintentional. Maybe intentional. No, so if you guys have some of your favorite Easter eggs, some of the ones that we've missed, some important ones maybe from other elements of film, maybe not particularly comic book movies, other things in Star Wars, some of the nods that you guys really enjoy. I know there's tons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in some of these TV shows. Let us know your thoughts. You can always grab us at hashtag #EnterTheNerdRoom. Our Twitter handles are at the end of the episode. You can hit us up on Facebook, YouTube comments, all that kind of stuff. We'd love to hear what you guys are thinking. All right, so, Troy.
Yeah, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking Easter eggs here.
Yeah.
Love talking Star Wars, comics, film, all that kind of stuff.
All that good stuff.
If you guys are a fan of Star Wars Rebels, be sure to check out our other podcast, Star Wars Rebels Alert, which drops every single Monday, where we recap and discuss each new episode of Star Wars Rebels. We're looking forward to, again, talking as a community about Star Wars Rebels. You can always catch us on the same feed that you're listening to right now. And we're going to be back next week talking all things comic books and movies. Not sure exactly what we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be something related to that nonetheless. All right, until next week, for the Nerd Room, I'm Tim.
I'm Troy.
And thank you for entering the Nerd Room. don't forget to subscribe and rate and review us on iTunes. You can find our hosts Tim, Sanjay, and Troy on Twitter at TheNerdRM, 1912 Podcasting, and Troy, TheBoy87.